Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with the battle report. So I brought out my Beastmen against a High Elf army. The list I'm using is just really weird. I built it to be a Minotaur themed army, and then when I got to the game store I realized I left all my Minotaurs at home. So I kept all the character builds the same and just replaced Minotaurs with other models that I did have. So it's kind of a thrown together list. Kind of weird. Anyway, starting on the right, he's got an eagle, some archers, some white lions with the banner of swiftness, a bolt thrower, sorry about the blurry picture, a big unit of Northern Sea, not a big unit, a medium-sized unit of Northern Sea Guard with his battle standard bearer. There in the middle he's got some spear elves with his level 2 mage, the Lord of Shadow. I have an up-close picture of him in just a little bit. He's very, very well done. And on the left, a mid-sized unit of sword masters with his level 3 archmage. And the things that these guys brought, I just don't, he gave me his list and I don't know what these things are and didn't feel like looking it up in the book because it didn't really matter. I know the Archmage with the Sword Masters has Philareth's robes or something like that, but anyway, he's ethereal. He can't hurt you, you can't hurt him. Anyway, that's the stuff they got. Anulian Crystal takes one of my power dice and turns it into one of his dispel dice. The Sword Masters also have the banner of sorcery, so he's getting between 1 and 3 extra power dice each turn. Another bolt thrower, another eagle. So I was kind of just surprised by his deployment. I just kind of assumed that the White Lions would have gone in the forest because they would have been stubborn regardless. If we get in combat with his sword masters in the forest, if I win, and I can't imagine him having more ranks than me, but if he did, he wouldn't be steadfast. So whatever. He might have put the White Lions on the periphery because they have the banner of swiftness and better a base movement of 6 inches. Here on my far left, I've got some Harpies, a Razor Gore, for me, a relatively small unit of Bestigors. I think there's 24 of them, and they've got the flaming banner. So I've got pretty close to 50 Gore on the left. I mean, there's probably 40, maybe 46. Extra hand weapon, of course, with my Great Brave Shaman. I've got, I think, 50 Gore here in the middle in bus formation. My battle standard bearer, and attached to that unit is my Doom Bull. So I wouldn't have known how to protect him if my opponent had any template weapons because he wouldn't get a lookout sir roll, but everything he has shooting would just have to hit the unit. So I attached him to this unit so he couldn't target my Doom Bull. I mean, he probably would have been okay with a 1-up rerollable, but you just never know. There on the hill, the ugly unpainted chariot is a Razor Gore chariot, and then I've got 2 Tusk Gore chariots, and then another Razor Gore being proxied by the dragon over there, and then some more Harpies. So overall, I really was not worried about his list because I feel like my horde of 50 Gore can go toe-to-toe with a unit of Sword Masters, and he'll win combat. I'll be steadfast. I'm going to kill enough that ultimately I would win it. I don't know if that's wise or not. That's what I was thinking. So here's a closer picture of a Shadow Mage. There's my Doom Bull with my mostly painted BSB. There's the Great Brave Shaman. And we go to High Elf turn 1. He moves up, as you can see. You can see when he put his White Lions behind his archers, it was, it kind of really slowed him down. The archers just had to shuffle out of the way. The White Lions had to reform and then walk up. I don't know if he wanted to go farther than what he did, but the way he deployed was kind of awkward. Guys in the middle moved up a tiny bit. That's what he did on the left. And we go to Beastman turn 1. Yeah, for the most part, I march up as fast as I can. I'm just not worried to bring it. Come to combat with me. Especially there in the middle. There on the right, I don't want his White Lions charging my chariots, of course. This is the far left. I'm not worried about his eagle charging my Razor Gore. My only fear with my Harpies is that if he uses the bolt thrower to shoot at them, he'll probably kill a couple and they'll probably fail their panic test. But if he's shooting at them, he's not shooting anything else, so I'm okay with that. Here on the right, my Harpies charged the eagle over here. I felt he was pretty cavalier with the eagle. He just put it up to where it wasn't difficult to charge it. So they took it. Overall, it looks like that. Oh yes, this was so much fun. So during the magic phase, my Great Brave Shaman turns himself into a mountain chimera, being proxied by a dragon, but that's okay. He's actually a mountain chimera in disguise. I was so excited to get that done. I like the idea, since there wasn't a whole lot else to do. I mean, I had the Amber Spear, and I had the the 2d6 strength 2, and so those things could have hurt his units a little bit. But with this, I felt that it forced him to make a tough decision. Because, if it goes off during his magic phase, he has to decide whether he wants to use all his dice to dispel this guy, or does he want to have a magic phase. And my feeling was if he dispels it, that's fine. I really didn't have a whole lot else to do anyway. And I think I only threw 5 dice at it. In my mind, I wasn't risking a miscast too much. So that was fun. Over here on the right, the Harpies beat and run down his eagle, and they run off, pursue him, and go. They pursued 12 inches, went right off the board. And we go to High Elf turn 2. So he took both his Northern Sea Guard and his Spear Elves and tried to charge my big bus, and he failed with one of them. And in all honesty, I didn't see the real advantage that would have given him. It would have scooted his guys over more. He would have had a lot more guys attacking my Doom Bull, and had I issued a challenge with him, it wasn't going to be any more attacks anyway. And if I didn't, his 1-up rerollable probably would have resulted in a lot more attacks from him. So anyway, it wasn't worried either way. That worked out the way it did. Turned to Swordmasters to where I couldn't get into his flank. Over here on the right, he moves up. He's pretty far back. If I charge with my chariots, I think I need average rollings. I need to be able to roll, I think, 8 or 9 to get into combat. So I think he moved up hoping that at least 1 or 2 of my chariots would fail the charge. He didn't want to hang back all game and totally, never get into the game. So in combat it looks like this. During his magic phase, he totally ignored my Mountain Chimera and just did stuff. I don't think he rolled much for the Winds of Magic. And I don't know if he got any spells off. If he did, they weren't impactful. And then he never got rid of my my Mountain Chimera. I think afterwards he said something like he forgot that it was remains in play. Yeah, I don't know. And on this side of the board, it looks like this. So he parked his eagle in front of my Razorgore. I think he was worried about my Razorgore charging his bolt thrower. But I'll take that all day long. I'll charge that eagle and tear it up. He did shoot at my Harpies, and he only killed 1. I mean, for the most part, when he's needed to roll, it's really, his shooting has been totally ineffective. He's not rolling very well for it. So this really, really, really surprised me. 1, my Doom Bull did 0 wounds on his noble battle standard bearer. Now he's got a 2-up armor save that with my strength, I think my guy's strength 6, so it goes to a 5-up armor save. Yeah, I just couldn't wound him. And then he actually put a wound, he has a great weapon, put a wound on my Doom Bull. I was really, really surprised by that. But what I did find out was that the Doom Bull, when he goes against somebody with always strikes first, it makes him much, much less effective because he doesn't get those rerolls to hit. My Gores did nothing against his Northern Sea Guard. I mean, I expected to do a handful of wounds, but just, hitting on 4s, even rerollable, and then wounding on 4s, and then his 5-up armor save. I think I did 3 wounds, and he saved all 3 of them. So he actually won that combat, but I was steadfast, 8 rerollable, and luckily we stuck around. So we go to Beastmen turn 2. I mean, we're right in the thick of things. Here on the left, I took my Gore and charged into his Swordmasters. On the right, all 3 chariots and my Razorgore made it to his White Lions. I mean, there were just charges all over the place. Razorgore charges Eagle. My best Gores are just they're just going to move around and see if they get into flank if they need to. I don't think I'm going to need these guys. My Harpies charges Bolt Thrower. And I'll talk about the right-hand side of the board in just a minute. Now, one thing that was really interesting here is when we go to my magic phase, I roll the Winds of Magic up. There's no spells that I can cast, and I didn't want to be a dirtbag and say, well, technically by the rule book, when there's no more spells to cast, the magic phase ends. So I pretty much just said, look, if you want, you can use your dispel dice to try to dispel my remains in play, but if you do that, I still have all my power dice for a magic phase. As it is, I can't cast any spells, and so I'm going to end the magic phase unless you want to do that. So he threw some dice to try to dispel it. He wasn't able to, and so then the magic phase just ended. So I really could not have asked for more. His Swordmasters are going to do a lot of wounds on my Gore, but this Mountain Chimera, it can tear some shit up. I mean, it's got a 4 die 6 attacks +1. It's got a strength 4 breath weapon, and it's got Thunder Stomp. So these Swordmasters are not going to last long, and I was very, very happy to see that. I think that's an ideal way to take care of Swordmasters. Here on the right, you can see all the charges. You know, I really don't think I'm going to win this eventually. I'm going to go in there with 3d6 impact hits before he gets to go, and I expect to kill about half the unit. And then he's going to do a lot of wounds to my guys. I think I'll win combat. He'll be stubborn. If he passes stubborn, I think he's going to tear my guys up. So really, I'm just throwing him in there so that if I ever do get in combat with the White Lions, with with my other units, they'll be greatly whittled down, and I'll be able to beat them. So, plus, if I lose combat, he can only pursue one of my units, and so, whoever survives should be able to get away, except one. So, at the end of combat, yeah, I mean, this just got ugly. One, my Doom Bull decided to wake up, and he just pounded the snot out of his noble. We easily won combat there. My guys actually decided to do some wounds on his Northern Sea Guard, beat him, overran into the front of his archers. My Gore with the Swordmasters killed a bunch. My Gore did 2 wounds. And by the time my Mountain Chimera was done, there were 4 Swordmasters left. He rocks. I mean, I rolled decently on the 46 +1 attacks. I assumed, based on a comment in another battle report, that he does benefit from Primal Fury because my Great Brave Shaman benefits from that, and it says you can't use his magic armor, but it doesn't, or magic weapons, or anything magical, but it doesn't say you don't use his innate abilities. So I was giving him rerolls to hit, and so if I was cheating there, please let me know, because that made him a monster. 46 strength 4 attacks, took down a bunch. Thunderstorm took down several, just tore him up, easily overran. Because he had angled them, it put my guys right into the flank of his archer unit. And at that point, the game's going to be done. Here on the right, yeah, we didn't remove his models because we knew that we were going to be wrapping up the game. But basically, I drew White Lions over what I killed. Let's see, there's 6 per rank. I killed 9 or 10 of his guys. He killed 2 of my chariots outright, put 2 wounds on my Razor Gore chariot, didn't bother even attacking my Razor Gore, and then overran he wasn't able to catch my Razor Gore chariot. I was pretty impressed with the White Lions. I mean, he lost half his unit, but even what was remaining, just, they get to reroll to hit in their strength 6. I mean, they just tore stuff up. So I still wasn't worried about it. Even if he got the charge into me, I would have so many attacks coming back at him, and so many wounds going into the Spear Elves that I would have won combat, reformed, and then just would have torn him up. So it was interesting to see how that worked out. But yeah. Here on the left, yeah, my Razor Gore tore up his eagle, my Harpies. I think we ended up sticking in combat. He has 1 wound left on his bolt thrower, but I'm going to win that, I believe. And we decided at that point just to call it, because if we called it, we could squeeze in another game. So a massive victory for the Beastmen. And my opponent, he said he lost the game as soon as he deployed, and I think his deployment really didn't help him. Now, I came home after the second game, uploaded all the pictures, and the way I do it, I put the pictures in a certain folder, and I lost all the pictures for the second game, and I really don't know how it happened. I didn't make a mistake. They're there. It happens about once every 20 games. Something weird happens, and I literally just lose the pictures. But it was a much more intriguing game. He ended up winning it by a lot, but there's a lot more going on with interesting magic phases. He basically charged the front of this bus unit. My Doom Bull was not with him. He charged him in the front with his White Lions and his Swordmasters, which again, a lot of guys couldn't attack because I'm only so wide, right? In 2 rounds of combat, he killed 43 Gore, which was the most insane thing I've ever seen. And part of that, he got Shield of Thorns off, and then he rolled like 11 or 12 for that, and we mistakenly used Strength 4 even though it wasn't buffed up. Whatever. Just totally chewed through him. And so when he broke him, at the end of my turn, he was able to reform and charge me in the rear or the flank into my other big units. And so it ended up being a total massacre because I didn't realize that my gore would only hold up for 2 rounds of combat. It was crazy. I'm really bummed I don't have that game to show to you. So, I won the first game, he won the second game. Uh, you know, Maybe I'll get to play him again soon, and we'll have a better game of it. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed it.